Hey, Best Lifers. Welcome in, welcome in. If you're new here, I'm Denise and I travel in my 2014 Nissan NV200 cargo van named Dragonfly. I am getting on today because I so want to talk about something that is so very important. We're going to talk about the 10 things that you need to have in place before you move into your van or your car or become a vehicle dweller. It is like so very important. Alrighty, so I'm gonna look and step down, make sure I look at my notes every so often so you'll see me look away. But I wanna get started. The first one, I don't even have to look at the list. Have a source of income. Have a source of income. Whether it is a job that you have, whether it is Social Security or some level of income that comes in on a monthly basis, or it's savings. Make sure that if you have a budget, you know how much you spend in a month or how much you will need to spend each month, and you have enough of that available without you having to do anything different so that it is in place and you won't find yourself in dire straits. Please, it is so important. I happen to have a remote digital marketing business, and that is how I'm able to fund and keep things flowing every single month. But even in that, just have a plan. Know how long that is going to last. Just have a plan, please, because it's the most important piece of this. The next thing is, as you are thinking about setting up whatever the camping or the living situation is, have a comfortable bed plan in place. When I was looking at vans and trying to figure out what I was going to be moving into, that was like a deal breaker for me. I knew and I know that sleep is so very primary, and having something that you're going to be comfortable in at all times, like every night, is so important. It's not one of those, oh, I can just lay my seat back and I'm going to be fine. Oh, I can flatten the chairs. Almost everyone who's watched videos on how people build their vans, you know that just laying the seats back, it's not flat. You have to figure out a plan and how you're going to make it comfortable. So that's number 2. Make sure that you have that going. Alrighty. So number 3, think about your food and how much gas you're going to need every single month. Those are going to be your new top expenses. Other than mortgage and rent, the next 2 typically are going to be how much you spend on food and how much you spend on gas. And in this case, since those are the 2 things you're going to be looking at next, is because if you're not cooking inside of your vehicle, or even if you are, you have to think about, where am I going to get this food? What kind of food am I eating? How much is it going to cost? Am I running on propane gas? Am I doing electric? How am I powering all these things? Where am I finding the food that I'm eating? And then secondly, depending upon how and where you're staying at night, you have to think about, okay, what's my gas mileage on my vehicle? How much driving am I doing on a regular basis? And how much is that going to cost every single month? So please know what those numbers look like and make sure you have a handle on those. Number 4, an emergency fund. I'm not talking about your budget and having enough to manage every month. I'm talking about if your vehicle breaks down, or if for some reason your plans end up changing, do you have funds that are readily available for you to switch it up and figure things out? I am so grateful when 2 things. 1, I was able to find a vehicle that had low miles. That's number 1. That was in my budget. And then number 2, I had a mechanic at the time, and he gave me advice, and I feel like it was the best advice. He told me, I don't want you on the side of the road anywhere. You're like a sister to me. I need you to make sure you're protected. Don't buy a vehicle that has more than 80,000 miles on it. And I know for a lot of people, especially if you have a limited budget, that's, just that thought is like, what? Because I see these vans that are out there that are like 150,000 miles and, 180,000 miles, and people are buying them, or buses. And I get it, because a lot of those buses do go a long way, and some people will replace the engine or transmission and get those to go even longer. And I get it. I just knew that I didn't want to be in that position. I see vans on the side of the road all the time. I hear people's stories about, getting stuck on the road, all of that. And I just knew that that wasn't a place I wanted to be in. And so just have an emergency fund in case something like that does happen, so that you know that you know that you know. I mean, even in my van, so my van, I talk about low miles. I was fortunate enough to buy it. It had 1,259 miles on it when I bought it. And, but it was, and it was at the time, I guess it was, if I can count, I think it was 7 years old. I bought it in 2021. So, it really had low miles on it. I have not had any issues, and I just do regular maintenance. But a part of that regular maintenance is I've replaced all 4 tires. So that's something, depending upon how many miles you drive, you're going to need to replace tires on a regular basis. So having that income where you can have money aside every month for maintenance, because that's regular maintenance, that's not even emergency fund. I've also had to flush, maintenance, flush the transmission, things like that, regular oil changes that happen so much more frequently if you're driving a lot. So just definitely have the finances in place, so you're not stranded, so you're not left in dire straits. You don't want this to be more stressful than it needs to be on your life, okay? So roadside assistance, that's the next thing. If you have a regular van or vehicle that you can do a AAA with, it's so worth it. Get AAA, y'all. And I'm not just necessarily endorsing them. I just know them because that's what I chose. But choose a roadside assistance company. No, they aren't all perfect, but it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, is what I always say. So definitely do that. And have a power source. You're going to need to charge your cell phone, whatever technology you have. If you have a computer, in my case, I work on my computer. So I absolutely have to have access to my computer. I use hotspots. So I definitely have to have a way to charge them up. I started out with a Jackery 240, which in no time flat was way too little. So you definitely want, because once I started, so I use several different things, appliances to cook. I have a CPAP machine. I use, like I mentioned, I use my computer, I have my phone. So I needed more power. I recommend start at least 1,000 watts. I typically buy a lot of my stuff on Amazon, and I do it on Prime days. I also use, I had at the time, still have, but I used a card where I would be able to collect dollars, like as I spent money. I was able to get that money transitioned into like money on Amazon. So I was able to not only take advantage of Amazon Prime days, but I was able to pull some of that money and discounts towards buying my power station. So find ways to creatively come up with, or, I asked, instead of regular gifts for birthday and for the Christmas and stuff, I would get gift cards. I would ask everybody to contribute to, buy me a gift card. And guess what? I use those towards buying a power station and getting it for like dirt cheap because of that. So just be creative, but get a power station. You need a power source for sure. Window covers. Yes, you don't want to announce to the world, especially if you're stealth or if you're in the middle of nowhere. You don't want everybody to see who's in there, what's in there. Either buy them. I got mine on at weathertech.com. Pricey, but so worth it. I've had the same ones for 3 years now, And yeah, there you go. So for me personally, worth it. They were like 120. I don't remember exactly how much, but again, for the course of 3 years, I think that's a great buy, because the money that I would have spent to buy the Reflectix, to buy the fabric, to buy the card, get the cardboard, to make them, and the time and energy I would have put into that. I always say it's your time or your money. And in this case, I didn't mind putting a couple dollars towards it so that I would have something that was reliable and I didn't have to worry about, and they fit. So there's that. So have window covers to protect yourself and to allow privacy for yourself. Number 8, Planet Fitness. I love my Planet Fitness membership. I've actually had it for a lot longer than I've been doing this, but it's not just for the workout for me. The part where they have hot, clean showers, that is definitely a very important part of your journey and your life if you don't have another plan in place. I have other options, but when I first got started, like Planet Fitness, I've used them all over the country at this point, all over the country. So yes, for 20 something dollars a month, like that's priceless for sure. Instead of having to figure it out and go around, and yeah, it's easy. I'm just saying. So that's number 8. Number 9, depending upon where you are, fan. Have a good fan. You can find really good fans for like $20 or $30 on Amazon, and you're gonna need it. Depending upon where you are, you're definitely gonna need it. It's been so hot all over the country during the summer. It really has been. This past summer, I wanted to travel west and go out to the Pacific Northwest. But I promise you, the time that I had to go, it was so hot just about everywhere. Like the days that I would have to spend and where I would have to go to travel, it was like in the high 80s, in the low 90s. And it was just like, no, even at night, like that was just not a thing. I ended up, for me, my answer to if it's too cold or if it's too hot is you're in a vehicle, go somewhere else. Because I ended up ultimately taking a trip up the Midwest and avoiding a lot of the heat that way. But have a good fan, because I use the fan regardless to where I am, because at some point you are going to encounter, high 70s, 80s weather, or whatever your measure is for what's too hot for you. But have a fan in the van. And mind you, I have a Maxxair fan, and that blows in and out. And depending upon where I am, if I can open my doors, I get tons of good breeze. But when you are somewhere where you have to be stealth and you don't have, I don't always open up the fan if I'm stealth. So I have a fan that's super reliable. I'll have a link in the description with the products that I use, so you can find those. The other thing is, and number 10, last but not least, the opposite end, a heater or some source of heat. I have multiple sources of heat. One of them, I have a military grade sleeping bag. I always start out with a couple of things. Is I layer. I'll have like a lighter layer. Then if I know it's going to be cool, I'll have on a long sleeve layer on top. And I might have like leggings and then yoga pants on top. And then even like a sweatshirt or a hoodie might even go on top of that. And then I have light blankets. Those are usually, again, if it's colder than that, I don't need to be there. And I'm usually going to find my way out. But just in case I don't have a choice. I was in West Virginia a couple of weeks ago, and it had started getting down to like, I want to say it was like 41 or something like that overnight. And, I was good. But one thing that I always do on top of, I definitely don't use the sleeping bag a lot, but I do have a heater. I have a 200-watt heater, like a $20 one off of Amazon. I want to say Amazon Basics or something. And like I use that in the morning to just take the cool air off, like just to get it warm so I can convince myself and coerce myself out of bed. But so those are just some of the things. But again, starting back at the top, most important, please, please, please have a source of income. A lot of people get hung up and get caught out there. Have a plan, know what your resources are, have an emergency fund, keep building that emergency fund and a maintenance fund up to maintain your vehicle. It's just like when people have to replace roofs or when they have to replace their heating and cooling system. The same thing stands for your vehicle. You're going to be putting wear and tear on it, more of it because you're living in it and more than likely traveling in it. So please make sure that you have your financial house in order. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more content from this channel, hit subscribe. If you have a comment or a question, drop it in the comments. See you next time.